went out, and that's what was causing it to vibrate and slip. And look at that, that should not. Yes, we're back on this Ford Escape 2013, the one that was slipping the transmission. So I did another flush yesterday. I didn't record it because it's the same process. This is the sample that I drained here of the oil or transmission fluid, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it did get dark, but it's normal. That's normal, as long as it's not like a black, like a diesel oil color. But I did find another problem. When you're driving this car, it starts shaking, especially like a load. So what we found was this axle here. You can't see it now, but I'm gonna lift up the car and show you what's going on. The axle looks like it's been replaced, but it's got some crazy play in it. So what happens is when you give it, you know, half throttle or full throttle, it sort of, I guess, skips and it kicks the transmission out of gear almost. That's what it feels like. But I'm about to lift up the car and show you exactly what it is, and I'm gonna change that axle today. So got it lifted up, and this is the driver front axle. It looks fresh. It looks like it's been replaced recently or not long ago, but I don't know if you can tell, but it's got some major play inside this boot here. And so I got a new one from a local parts store. See, this one is original. It's got the rust on it and stuff like that. And this one is solid still. But this one, it's gonna have to be replaced. So I'm gonna lower it and start taking things apart. Inch-and-a-quarter socket. Boom. Battery's weak. So there's a couple ways I could do it. I guess there's a ball joint in the bottom of the control arm, lower control arm. I can remove that, but usually they're rusted and hard to remove. And so what I'm gonna do is I think I'm just gonna detach the control arm on the off the subframe, and it'll be easier. And I'm hoping that I can just remove the tie rod end, caliper, just to get it out of the way. I'll remove the rotor just so it's lighter. I'm gonna see if I can pull this assembly back far enough to where I can get this axle out. I should be able to do it, but we'll see. I just really don't want to take this apart or the strut out or anything like that. The less I take apart, the better. Let's keep going. hold it up there. So I took the ball joint out, but to do that, what I had to do was remove this bolt that holds this control arm here on this side. I didn't even remove this one. I was going to, but I didn't need to, because once I loosened this, the control arm started moving and I was able to get this ball joint out. I should be able to pull this back and remove the axle out, no problem now. So what I have to do is pry it with the screwdriver up against the transmission, and there it goes. All right. So I got the axle out, but sometimes you'll get a little bit of transmission fluid leaking when you pull the axle out, which is no big deal. I believe if you have the proper level, it shouldn't pour out, but you know, a little bit pours out. But then just check your fluid after the axle install properly, and that's it. But you can see this fluid is clean now. It is like cherry red. That's what we want to see. Anyway, we got the brand new axle here. I picked it up at the local O'Reilly's. They had it in stock, which is awesome. Comes with a book you can read all day, every day, that nobody reads. And it's brand new. It's got limited lifetime warranty. And what you want to do is you want to compare the old axle to the new one and make sure that they're the same before you start trying to fit it in. You know, they either sold you the wrong axle or it was packaged wrong, because anything can happen. So I'm gonna take this plastic off and compare them. Axles look identical, and as I said before, that this was already replaced on this car. So I don't know, maybe it was still under warranty. I'm not sure where my friend got it, but it's got some numbers on it. Okay, so there's a part number. So it's FD8256 and then 200849. So the top number matches, but the bottom one I guess is just a serial number, so it'll be different on every axle. But yeah, everything looks good. Later, I know there's something loose in here on this side. I'm gonna take this boot off just because I'm curious to see what it looks like inside and why it was loose, and we'll go from there. So that's nice that the new axle comes with a nut. Sometimes they don't, but it's nice that this one did, so I can replace it. All right, let's pop this thing in and go from there. So the axle is in. I've started all the bolts on the control arm, including the ball joint there, and I started the one over here on the tie rod end. So now I'm just gonna retighten all the bolts, and that should do it. So we got everything tightened besides the tie rod end. Still gotta get this nut up here tightened, and then we can reinstall the rotor and caliper and also tighten this nut here. I don't recommend reassembling with a 1400 pound torque impact gun, because you could snap some bolts off. But you know, if you've done this before, you know what you're doing. Just don't go crazy with the button, because if you keep holding the button, you will snap these studs off and the bolts off and everything like that. I've done it before. It's no fun when you break a stud or a bolt and you can't get it out. But if you've done this before, obviously you know what you're doing. Carry on. So now to the fun part, to see what this axle looks like inside. This is where the play was, and I don't know if you can see it or hear it, but that's not normal, especially to a clean axle like this one. Looks pretty new. Just get this clamp off. Wow. Okay, there we go. Alright. So let's pull this back and see. Yeah. There it is. That one bearing went out, and that's what was causing it to vibrate and slip, and look at that. That should not come off like that. See how the other ones are? They just slide back and forth. This one just removes. So there's that. There's another issue fixed on this 2013 Ford Escape. Like I said in the last video, with the transmission flushes, this car will be as good as new when it goes back to its owner. So there you have it. Driver front axle replaced on the 2013 Ford Escape, all-wheel drive, SEL, 2.0 EcoBoost. I don't know if there's a difference in axles or not, but this is the one I'm working on. I just made sure that the transmission fluid level is good after a warm-up, and I checked it again, and I had to top it off just a little bit. So now the car is ready for a test drive. I'm gonna go ahead and lower it, test drive it, and go from there. And if everything checks out, then that'll be it for this one. Later.